Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle. Me in my series in the year 2020. The year 2020 Rick Miracle Report. And this is number 26. I've been continuing my research, reading these contact magazines. Monarch Mind Control Madness. Sick creatures at the government top. Senator Byrd, Ronald Reagan. So much information in these contact magazines. This one is dated February 7th, 1995. And I want to encourage people to go find these, download them, from 1990 to 1999, 10 years. And you can find them at this website. Pardon me, I changed my little camera configuration. The Phoenix Journals. The Phoenix Source. 4winds10.com. Phoenix Journals. We're at several locations. Just search the Phoenix Journals and you'll find all these books they published. Odyssey, Spacegate, Spiral to Economic Disaster. You can see how many there are in these little squares and all the different journals and the years. Valuable information. So on this website, you'll find all of the 115 published Phoenix journals and the other documents like the Contact magazine from 1990 to 1999. And I know I'm repeating myself because I'm trying to make a point. People need to get this material. Back in the 1990s and 80s, people were aware of what was going on. And a lot of people were framed, discredited, imprisoned, disappeared, killed. The more I continued to research, the more people suffered a disastrous end because they were doing research. Somebody's trying to hide the fact that something sinister is going on, and something seriously sinister is going to happen in our future. And you can sum it up by saying global world order. So how are they going to do that? How are they going to watch everybody? How are they going to be able to target anybody? Anywhere? I guess you would need sophisticated technologies, electronics, satellites in space, even devices in people's homes, listening to them, even able to target them. We carry one around, most of us, the cell phone, a very sophisticated piece of equipment, and it is apparently frequencies that can affect our health and well-being. Frequencies. We are spiritual beings in these biological bodies. Every human being has a specific DNA frequency, and apparently we have an aura around us, an energy field, and when you carry a cell phone with you, it can sync up to that field and send the information upstream to the supercomputers. And apparently they're testing these things out and improving them every day, every week, for years, even targeting people called TIs, targeted individuals, torturing them, causing them to have a lot of pain and suffering. It's all a test. And of course, we all get these strange phone calls all the time in our cell phones and home phones that just don't stop. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 a day. You can go look up. Don't answer those phone calls, by the way, like the Social Security one that says somebody has been using your number and to call them back. It's all a scam. Credit card. I took my continuing education course for my business license recently, and they were talking about transferring wiring funds fraud They're even intercepting our emails and paying attention to what you and I do, waiting for the moment to pounce on us. And people will maybe buy a house or something, or send a friend some money and send the information on an email. And there are these people who are watching all the emails, waiting for those numbers, waiting for something. And then they pounce on the person, take the money back, and apparently it's seriously on the increase. So how can they do this? And I've been reading this article. Codename Omega, Tesla technology of the dangerous kind. So let me just read this and throw in my 2 cents. And you know where to find the contact magazines. The Phoenix Journal's website. Just look up Phoenix Journals, 4winds10.com, and you'll see the journals and the Liberator magazine and the Contact magazine, all subdivided into the different years, 1990, 91, 92, and it's all PDF, it's all free, and you can get this document put on your computer. You can print it out if you'd like to and read it, but there's just so much information. And so when I make these 30-minute videos, we're just touching the tip of the iceberg. But let me read it and try to get some information out there to show you what's in these magazines. So apparently Hanton, whether you believe it or not, is some kind of entity that's not of Earth, calls himself a Palladian for the Galactic Federation, and he's using telepathy, but using electronic equipment telepathy to communicate with the people who publish these magazines, as well as many articles in these magazines that are written by researchers all over the planet. Researchers who, like I said, wind up dead or in prison, and their families threatened and everything, careers ruined. So anyways, Hanton, apparently in a giant mothership out there in orbit. Again, I'm not expecting anybody to believe all of that, but the information here, I expect people to look into, because it's obvious that it's going on in many different aspects. Whether you're worried about the HARP transmitters, 40 acres, gigantic fields of these transmitters that transmit information or energy up into the sky at an angle, and then it comes down someplace else on the planet, like the map behind me. Apparently over here in Alaska, they have HARP system, and then they can bounce it off the ionosphere and hits any place here in California. And apparently they're at strategic locations, like big triangles all over the planet. Here, 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 here. And you can look up the HARP transmitters and see that that's verified. And they were calling them research technologies. But what they can do with 40 acres of energy is bounce it off the ionosphere onto a city and pretty much bathe everybody in microwaves and other sonic frequencies that can harm people or cause people to even die, lose their eyesight, blow up the cells in their body, fry their brains. But they've been doing it on a mini scale, causing frustration and riots in cities. But again, let me get back to this. You got the HARP transmitters, you got the GWEN towers I'm going to talk about, you got the cell phone towers, 5G, you got the satellites in space, with Elon Musk apparently receiving a contract to put 20 to 30,000 of them so that we can all be bathed in wireless microwave frequencies. The frequency is the same size as the water molecules in your body and the blood cells in your body, which means if they are the same size, they will cause that particular object to resonate and start vibrating and eventually pop and break and splatter like it does in your microwave oven. We're all, I guess, a gigantic microwave oven is being created around the Earth. But let me tell you about these GWEN towers, codename Omega. And you can take notes and look this stuff up. Don't believe me. Tesla technology of the dangerous kind. So according to this Hanton in the Palladian ship Federal, the Galactic Federation, communicating with Dharma to the people who make these magazines back from 1990 to 99, 10 years, and the books called the Phoenix Journals. Here's what he says. We have pointed out that you have the ground wave emergency network GWEN and other grids which pulse microwaves and frequency waves at, over, and through you. Well, there is another system which is more important and more deadly. It is called Omega. So we all know we have GPS. Even your cell phone or your GPS in your car is tracking, is synced up and following you wherever you go. Even though you can do it with your own iPhone or your cell phone or your GPS system, if they're tracking me or you and we're carrying a cell phone, we may not know it, but they're following us wherever we go, any place on the planet. So apparently they got this Omega transmitters that they've been installing and lying to the citizens. And they're out there doing these pulses, boom, 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 all over the planet. And different frequencies, so our electronic gadgets can tune into the 2 or 3 or 4 different frequencies and calculate exactly where we are within probably 1 or 2 feet or even closer. And for all of you who think you need to go forth and invent Tesla's old secrets, forget it. Everything is done, working, and I'm not going to spend any time on reinventing anything. I understand your need to desire for participation and an assistance to a dying world. But first you have to know that all is available. You just don't have it and will not yet be allowed to have any of it. So these sophisticated cell phones we have, and computers and iPads and smart refrigerators and smart meters and smart cars, apparently it's all being distributed through people all over the planet for a nefarious, sinister end. Why else would they give us these cell phones that are cameras and calculators and communication devices and games for the low price that they do? They're probably the greatest computer technology available today, and pretty much everybody has one. What they don't know, it's like they're carrying a loaded grenade in their purse or their pocket, a bomb. And we as human beings, and this is a fact, radiate different frequencies when we're happy and hey, let's party. That's a specific frequency. But when we're angry and we're mad, it's a different frequency. And they figured this out. And when you get sick and you have the flu or you have a heart attack, and these technologies, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that if they were to sync up to you and microwave you or me with a beam, it would obviously cause the cells in our blood to boil and so much more, and interact with our bones. And apparently there have been a lot of people killed in this manner. And they're continuing to put the cell phone towers up anywhere, but we're talking about the GWEN towers here and something called Omega. So Hanton says, I asked Dharma that you get the article which covers this subject adequately. So you got to go look up this stuff, GWEN towers and Omega, or go to the Phoenix Journal website and get this magazine. This is the February 7th, 1995 one. So it's so simple, just to go to Phoenix Journals. Maybe it's phoenixjournals.com or 4winds10.com. And look up the Liberator magazines for, I think, from 1990 to 91. And then the Contact magazine from 92 to 99, 10 years. and they're all in order by date, February 7th, 1995. So take anybody 5 or 10 minutes to find this and have it on your computer and be able to verify, because I can't get that much in a 30-minute video. But let me continue on. It comes from a paper called The Strategy. So it comes from a paper called The Strategy. 92 Neal Street, Bendigo, Victoria, 3550 Australia. So 92 Neal Street, Neal Street, a paper called The Strategy. And so in Australia. By the way, I would like to point out that a friend of ours, Serge Monest, is connected to this publication as Agency International Press. I have one recently objection to use of what he considers his exclusive right to information on underground bases, etc. So a lot of people are talking about underground bases and the alien sightings and these technologies, and they're trying to copyright the material or get people to pay for the material. Anybody can go look it up free online, and when it's material that's so concerning and dangerous to humanity, I don't think people should be trying to capitalize on it. I make these videos and publish them for free. No, readers, nobody has such information as is offered as such by Serge Monest and a few others. Further, if your information does not get around, it is useless and might as well be censored and censored. In this critical time of environmental and chaos, I will recognize no one who considers his truth to be somehow sacred, for it is usually such that his truth is not that which he claims at all, and hardly worth being sacred. Keep in mind that this is an Australian publication. The headlines will make far more sense. America, allies or enemies. America, allies or enemies, in an Australian publication called The Strategy. So the Americans, the military, not we citizens, were installing these GWEN towers out into the remote places in Australia with these pulsed beams, microwave blast, and they go right through humans and animals and birds and plants and trees. A lot of people were protesting, and they were lied to and told it was something so they could pulse some energy out there in the ocean so that the ships could figure out how to navigate and get places safely. But it was apparently far more sinister than that. The 15-foot tall Omega mast in southern Victoria, Australia, is probably the largest U.S. top secret military project hidden in the open. And so they build these towers right beside the road, cell phone towers. And if you know anything about energy, electricity, or electronics, you know that you can have a cable the size of my little finger here, or you can have a cable bigger or as thick as my arm. And the bigger the cable, obviously, the more energy that is going to be going through that cable so it doesn't burn out. And if you pull over beside the road, all over the country right now, and usually 30, 40 feet from the road, which is kind of weird, you can walk over without violating any laws. You can read the sign. It says danger, keep back, that the energy is dangerous. But if you have some binoculars, or you can just use your eyes, you'll notice that the cables that provide electricity to the top, you know, aren't those little coax cables like in your house for cable TV, or even wires that you use for electricity. They're big, thick, round cables with these super powerful generators next to them in case they lose the electrical grid. And apparently that means they can turn up the volume on those transmitters and pump out those microwave frequencies to such a degree that it would probably fry the people in the area. And apparently, can you imagine you're driving down the road with your cell phone, and you're a researcher, or you become aware of some of this dangerous activity, and you call up your friend and you say, hey, this is getting crazy. And so you trigger the computer to start tracking you. They know when you're passing one of those transmitters, and the computer all by itself can probably boost up the energy and make you feel like you're getting dizzy and sick and pass out and get in a car wreck. Just saying. The possibilities are very real. The technologies are proven. And you could take a cell phone and just get a little electric magnetic device, a meter that measures those things, and just take your phone next to it and see the meter start pegging, and have somebody call you or you call somebody, and it goes way off the chart. So just imagine what they can do. And even that is dangerous and acknowledged. Lawsuits have been filed. People got cancer and got sick. So this Australia, they had a magazine called the Strategy, and they had an article called America, Allies or Enemies, because we were putting these GWEN transmitters in strategic locations all over the planet, and a lot of people were aware of it and protesting it. But it's in this magazine of 5 or 6 pages of this story, and obviously I'm only going to do an introduction in 30 minutes. Try to get the point across and direct anybody to where they can find these Phoenix Project Liberator contact newspapers and the Phoenix journals, and read it all for yourself, print it out, share it with people. So apparently it's carefully disguised as a vaguely inaccurate navigation transmitter dedicated to a worthy cause of maritime energy services. The disarming and friendly help offered by the Omega staff towards casual visitors to the transmitter site helps to cover a much more devious function. In reality, Omega is an extremely accurate, strategic American navigation system that emits an immensely powerful electromagnetic field 24 hours a day, posing a significant health threat to the tens of thousands of unsuspecting Australians, citizens scattered across the country. One reason that this is so important is that it is connected to the mind control system known as Oz. As in the Wizard of Oz, but Oz apparently is a government secret project from the sinister people who control our country, not we citizens, of course. And so they have a project, Oz, that's involved in mind control that I've been talking about in videos. Since we have just written about this in the Monarch material, it was the front of this magazine, Monarch Mind Control Madness. So you got 80 pages in this Contact magazine, and even involving our leaders, and so much more information in these magazines. And that's why I make these videos and try to point people in the right direction, where to go to get the material. You go to Phoenix Journals, it'll be a very time-consuming thing to try to even begin to see how sinister all of this is. I wanted you to not miss it here, please. In Australia is the headquarters of the most incredible, evil, child pornography and satanic ritual center in the world. Your own President Bush has attended its annual meetings, among so many like Kissinger, as to boggle your minds. So let us just move on while you keep these tidbits in mind, please. So back in 1995, February 7th, they're talking about the Child Pornography and Satanic Rituals Center of the world. And even President Bush has attended the meetings. And we know that if you know anything about the Bohemian Grove in California, the big redwood forest, and the our presidents and leaders like Kissinger and Nixon and all these people were photographed there. Alex Jones snuck in there and made a video. They have a giant owl, the demon god Moloch. They throw a baby in a fire called cremation of care. They dress up naked in long robes and bringing gay men for some kind of sexual ritual. So as much as people don't want to believe this stuff, it's all verifiable, and there's so many books, and I've got so many of the books, and I've made so many of the videos, and I'll keep doing it as long as I can. Although, as we already know, that they're able to target anybody at any time. According to Paul Molloy of the Oz Department on Foreign Affairs, the Omega base in Victoria was to close on 28 February 1994. Mr. Molloy admitted in the same interview, 21 February, that there had been a continual discussions between Australia and the U.S. after the latter was given 180 days notice of closure in 1993. So publicly, when the public was becoming concerned, there are intelligent citizens out there like me and you watching this video, and people who went to see their leaders and said this is crazy, or called the newspaper or called the airport, and they appease, they lie to the public and continue right on with their sinister activities. This was coincidental with the full operation and finishing of the luxurious hidden underground facilities for survival of the most elite and of the elite, which can now only be reached by helicopter. So apparently the elite have locations all over the world with underground facilities to escape to whenever they apparently pull the trigger and issue martial law. And with this coronavirus, it seems like that could be one of the tools for that. And it's anything but what they're saying, because think about it. Not only are they trying to freak out all the citizens with the coronavirus, but global warming, climate change, sustainability, terrorism, economic collapse. They're bombarding us with this stuff. And I'm here to tell you now that I've studied this material for quite a few years, and the human mind, the body, can only handle 6 or 7 or 8 issues at best and still be functioning normally. Once a human person, we've all experienced it, we've all stressed out and got angry and screamed at somebody, or because there was just too much going on. You know what I mean? And they're doing this because they know they can cause the human person to just all of a sudden pop and explode and get angry and freak out and go into a suicidal mode or depression. They know how to do it. They are doing it, and we all know it. And these technologies increase the odds that people will go over the edge quicker, and the more traumatic and scary things that's in the news, it just steps up the stress level of we people. For the U.S. to maintain a running dialogue for nearly 170 days about a single transmitter implied that Omega was of significant strategy, important to the defense plans. So after more than 20 years, it seems that the cat finally was out of the bag. But more was to come on the 28th of February. Instead of being closed, the U.S. government suddenly shelled out $500,000 to keep Omega on the air until September. It was an 11th hour reprieve, reported only briefly by SBS television and ABC radio. Suddenly deceptively peaceful in the lush green fields of East Gippsland, the 15-foot tall Omega mast is the tallest man-made structure in the southern hemisphere. But exactly why is it there, and what does it do? Comprehend the real accuracy of Omega is critical to understanding the true value of the system to the U.S. Department of Defense, and the reason is unlikely the latter will allow the Australian government to carry out its threat of closing the transmitter at any time in the future, regardless of the risk to Australian health. And the introduction of Omega to Australia was a slow, torturous business that took the U.S. 13 years to complete, with the Victoria transmitter, the last of 8 worldwide stations, to commence transmitting during the late 1982. The other 7 transmitters are located in North Dakota, Hawaii, Norway, Japan, Liberia, Argentina, La Reunion Island in the Indian Ocean. So they have a little map here. Shows where they are. So my 30 minutes are up. There's pages and pages of this information. We all know that we are bioelectric beings. We all have an individual frequency. And certain frequencies, when radiated at us, can cause us to be calm and happy, or they can agitate people and make people go crazy. This is verified. They verified this with the Montauk base at the end of Long Island. You can look up Project Montauk. And during World War II, they had a big SAGE antenna off the coastline over here of Long Island, New York, scanning the ocean for German submarines. Big, gigantic dish antenna that went back and forth like this across the ocean. Well, whenever they turned it on, they noticed that the animals in the city at the end of Long Island would go crazy and run through town, raccoons and deer and everything else. And they noticed that the mood of all the citizens would go in different directions. And they accidentally hit on this technology. And so they've been trying to perfect it for controlling human populations, and not for the better. And using other technologies with the GWEN towers, the HARP transmitters, the 5G cell towers, the satellites in space. Why would they give Elon Musk a contract recently for 20 or 30,000 satellites to be launched into space, and have these AI, artificial intelligence computers, and collecting all the data with cameras and smart meters and smartphones and smart TVs? You can understand this is a very sophisticated computer program, like a really cool app, you know, a game app or an app to do messages on your phone, an app, a computer software program. And it's collecting data on all of us, categorizing us, monitoring us, waiting for trigger words, and it has the capability to target anybody with these dangerous frequencies. Maybe even a drone or a SWAT team or a CIA, FBI, or anybody else, and so much more weapon capability at their disposal. And all I can say is, in 30 minutes, that's all I can say. Go get the magazine. It's all free at this time. 4winds10.com was down when I was sharing this on previous videos. I emailed the web manager for phoenixjournals.com and said your 4winds10.com is down, and it was up the next day. And quickly I did download these newspapers, which were published every week for every year for 10 years. So it's like 1,000 documents. And this is just one sample of the documents and all the information that anybody can research and verify. Quite disturbing, I believe. Thanks for watching my video. Rick Merico reporting.